and Wildlife and Fisheries from the University of North Dakota. In 2001, July of 2001, he was designated as a prescribed burn boss for the Nature Conservancy. And since then, he has led prescribed burns throughout the Midwest, Great Plains, Oregon, and Washington. He's also worked as a wildland firefighter with the Indiana Interagency Hand Crew and the Iowa Loess Hills Hand Crew. Currently, Chad is the Nature Conservancy's prescribed fire coordinator in Nebraska, helping private landowners burn on their lands and leading burns on Conservancy-owned sites. So welcome, Chad. Thanks for coming, and take her away.
All right, great. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, I'm glad to be here and always enjoy attending this conference. I'm going to share a presentation with you. All right. Here we go. So today I'm going to talk about fire in the Sandhills. It's not going to be, a complete review of all the fire that goes on in the Sandhills, but I'm going to talk primarily about projects that I've been working on through a partnership with several different organizations. And the primary goal for this presentation is to really just highlight that value of partnerships and how important it is. And then also make sure that, we continue to get word out there that, that there are resources, organizations and people available to help landowners and anybody that's interested in working in prescribed fire or getting prescribed fire on the ground. There's a lot of help out there. There's a lot of different conservation groups and burn associations and people that, want to make prescribed fire successful, want to make it as safe as possible, and want to lend their experience and expertise to make that happen. And so I started working with a partnership that is kind of working under this addressing cedars in the Nebraska Sandhills issue. I mean, really trying to slow the rate or the spread of eastern red cedar into the pastures and rangelands and prairies of the Sandhills. And the principal partners within this partnership are, listed here: the Sandhills Task Force, Pheasants Forever, Nebraska Game and Parks, Rainwater Basin Joint Venture is working not only in the Rainwater Basin in Nebraska, but outside of that in the Sandhills, Fish and Wildlife Service, Environmental Trust, and the Nature Conservancy. And that is definitely not an exhaustive list of all the people working to help on prescribed fires, especially in the Sandhills. Nebraska Forest Service, U.S. Forest Service, Northern Prairies Land Trust, they're all doing the most they can to help promote prescribed fire and provide for safe prescribed fire in the Sandhills. But primarily, my role within this partnership is to work directly with landowners to help increase their capacity in the Sandhills. Provide training and workshops and basically do what I can one-on-one a lot of times with landowners to help them, if they're interested, get fire on the ground, identify resources that are available to help them get fire on the ground, and help them with the burn plan, and move forward. The projects that I've been working on in the Sandhills are really kind of focused in Wheeler and Garfield County. There's been a couple projects scattered throughout sort of the eastern half of the Sandhills. And I know this is not, an extensive list of all the fire that's going on in the Sandhills, but just what I've been working on. So the first couple of years, we've been able to get some good work done, and then in the spring of 2021, we actually have a few acres, a little over 11,000 acres identified that we'll be working on 13 different projects. And one of those includes a 2,000 acre multi-owner project along the Dismal River in Thomas County. And then several projects on the far eastern end of the Sandhills, where there's just a lot of cedars coming in. And a lot of areas that I'm working in are actually outside of some of the burn associations that exist in Nebraska. So it's really really working in counties that are, some of the counties are just kind of getting started with prescribed burns and haven't quite developed that network of people yet to get those burns in place. And so it's really important to have that partnership available to be able to help connect the people that are interested in burning and to, with all the great work that's being done around and across Nebraska. And this is basically what success kind of looks like in our mind. And this is a picture taken from Working Lands for Wildlife Habitat Tour on Richard Keller's property in Brown County. And this is post spring prescribed burn, and Rich is just talking about all the success with removing cedar trees. In the foreground of the photograph, there's a bunch of tiny little cedar trees that are browned from the fire, or have been killed from the fire in the spring. The ridge line in the background of the photograph, the left half of that ridge line in the photograph is an area that had been mechanically thinned and then burned about 5 or 6 years later to burn off the resprouts. And then on the right side of that ridge, or the background of the photograph, is actually an adjacent landowner's property, and just shows kind of a real stark line of where the habitat work was completed, and then the cedars that are remaining on the neighbor's property. And following this work, the neighbor has actually signed up to do cedar removal on that ridge line and follow up with future prescribed burns. And that's really what success looks like, is multiple partners working together to help a landowner achieve success on their property, and being able to use that to show other landowners what can be done and what help is available, and just kind of keeping the ball moving, keeping it moving forward, and working on prescribed burns. And so that is it for me. I'm available. Here's my contact information, and if anybody's interested in working on establishing prescribed fires, or needs help kind of just to get going or moving forward on prescribed burns, they can contact me here. And yeah, it was great to talk to all of you, and I'll definitely be available to answer any questions.
Thanks, Chad, and thanks for all the work that you're doing up there. Doing great work, and hope to see more of that in the future too. So, any questions for Chad? Feel free to jump in here or send him a private message or email later on.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Chad. All right.